need a hand, cause I'm just a man. You're always there to teach me the way. I pray that I never fall away. Yahuwah, He lives forever. Sing His praise which dwell in Zion. Our Elohim, His words are perfect, and His kingdom will reign forever. So what can I do if I don't have you? It's all about you, 'cause without you there's no me. I need a hand, 'cause I'm just a man. Always there to teach me the way. Pray that I never fall away. Yahuwah, He lives forever. Sing His praise which dwelleth in Zion. Our Elohim, His words are perfect, and His kingdom will reign forever. Yahuwah, He lives forever. Sing His praise which dwelleth in Zion. Our Elohim, His words are perfect, and His kingdom will reign forever.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live, good morning, good morning. Breaking Strongholds Ministries, good morning, good morning. YouTube with Orlando, keeping it simple. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope you all have had a great week. I hope that the Most High has given you everything your heart desire. I hope that the Most High have blessed you over and abundantly. Here you go, Sharon. Over and abundantly with, okay. Over and abundantly with the things your heart desire. I hope He has given you wisdom and knowledge and understanding of His word. I hope He has shown you Him through His actions towards you this week. I hope He has done that for you this week. Like I say to you all, my week it's been okay, I guess. I can't really say much about it, you know. I really can't say much about it, you know. I've been all over the place a little bit. But if you could turn to the book of Exodus, the chapter 20, verse 1 through 17. Exodus chapter 21 through 17. And it reads, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Els before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy sons nor thy daughters, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the Sabbath day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath and hallowed it. Honor thy fathers and thy mothers, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Let us do Yahuwah's prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live with Breaking Strongholds Ministries. YouTube with Orlando Keeping It Simple. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? I guess the Most High has been showing me some things this week, because this morning he was showing me that we have a lot of misunderstandings about life. We have a lot of misunderstandings about how the Most High works. And because we don't understand the Most High, we misinterpret His scriptures. We misinterpret everything about Him because we don't understand Him. And it's because we really haven't studied His Word enough to be able to understand Him or her. The Ruach HaKodesh is the Spirit, which is the feminine. So because we don't understand, we function in a reality of not understanding. We only go on by what we think we know, but in actuality we really don't know, because we really haven't sat down and understood. We haven't sat down and really understood the Word to some extent for some people. And that is what I'm dealing with this morning, because I was talking to this guy this week, right? And I understand this concept, and I deal with people on the level that they on, and so that I can understand them and I can see their viewpoint. Not necessarily saying I agree with it or disagree with it. It's just for me to get an understanding, because he said, in all your getting, get understanding. So, when my point is to be able to understand people, it's not to condemn them or to blast them and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. That's not my thought process. That's not my thought process at all. It's for me just to understand people so I know how to deal with them. And then, by me dealing with them, I ask them questions to be able to challenge their thought process, to get them to think on a totally different level. My thought process is not to belittle anybody's viewpoint. It just is to understand their viewpoint and then meet them where they are and move forward. That's my thought process. Where you are in your life and that's where you do things is where you do it. But I'm just telling you that's how I do things. So, when I was talking to a guy this week, right, he was talking to me about heaven and earth. He says there's no heaven. and there is no hell. He said, I'm living in hell every day. And I kind of agree with him. I understood that. And he said, heaven is in your mind, earth is in your mind, hell is in your mind. He said, everything what you want is right here, and how you pursue it, that is the way it'll be. And I understood that. I respected that. I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it. It's not for me to disagree or agree with it, because it's just his thought process. It's not imposing on me, but it's just for me to hear what he got to say. So when I was dealing with that, I understood that. But is he actually living in a true righteousness of life? Is he actually living in a way that, or not just him, but all of us, are we living in a true purpose in life? Are we allowing things to happen that shouldn't necessarily happen, and because we don't want to infringe on someone else's thought process? Are we truly living in the true purpose of life, or the true mission of life? Because then I started listening to this guy, right? And he's talking about domesticated. Domesticated. Domesticated means to domestic, or to retire from the public, or to accustom to remain much at home, as to domesticate oneself. Domesticate means to make familiar, as if at home. Listen to this part here. It says, to accustom to live near the habitations of a man. Domesticate means to tame, as to domesticate wild animals. Domesticate means to tame, as to domesticate wild animals. Means to control to a certain degree. Keep this people in a controlled environment for a particular reason or purpose. Have we been tamed to a certain degree, or have we been domesticated to a certain degree to keep us in a box where we do not go out of? Because when we study scriptures and then we look at our life, a lot of times our life don't even have any associations with scripture, because we're more domesticated, or we're more tame than what the scriptures show us about the prophets and the disciples and the Messiah himself. He was not domesticated. He was not tamed to the Roman Empire. He was not tamed or domesticated to the Pharisees and the scribes. Because even when you're domesticated, doesn't mean that you're right in your domestications. It means that you're just domesticated, or you're tamed into that environment which the environment wants you to be, or the way the environment wants you to be. Doesn't have anything to do with righteousness or wickedness. It means that you are controlled, or you're domesticated, or you're tamed in that environment. It means that you are, it's telling you that your lifestyle is conducive into that environment. Meaning that you're not going to ruffle any feathers when you are domesticated. Means that you're going to subject yourself to the people that you are involved in. And this is something that I have. I'm kind of jacked up a little bit about it, because when we're talking about domesticated and tame or control, scriptures say something totally different than what we're actually being. Because if we understand that if we are domesticated or tamed or controlled in this environment, Ephesians 6 and 12 means that we are subjecting ourselves to an evil and wicked environment. Meaning that we're not ruffling anybody's feathers. It means that we are submitting ourselves to Ephesians 6 and 12. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. That means that if we are domesticated, that means that if we're tamed, that means that we are, and we're controlled, that means that we are controlled, we're domesticated, and we're tamed by against spiritual wickedness in high places. That means that we're allowing spiritual wickedness to control our life. That means that we are allowing the powers that be, which are spiritual wickedness, to control us to a certain degree. Because domesticated means to tame as a wild animal. It means to control. It means to keep them within a box. So if we are domesticated, if we're contained and we're being treated like wild animals, that means that the people that's controlling us and taming us and keeping us in this box are people that have spiritual wickedness, that are spiritually wicked. So when we understand that, are we actually following the Messiah if we're following the rules and regulations of the world? Not saying that we should be violent against the world, but it's protesting good. It's standing up for righteousness good, because what we see now going on today, what we see what's going on today is that they're saying that transgenders, females, are actually females. And I said, okay. And then I started listening to people who will ask a transgender guy, what is a woman? And then when they ask the transgender guy, what is a woman? The transgender guy could not give the definition of a woman. And then the guy started saying a woman is a woman that has an X and an X chromosome, and then they have the reproduction organs, and so forth and so forth. Okay? So, when you're looking at it from that point there, does a transgender person has those things that makes up what needs to be, what is natural compared to unnatural. Trans means to transform, means to go into another state, because that wasn't the original state. Means to transform, means to change. Trans means to change. So if you're looking at something that is trans, so that means that they had to change into something other than what they was in order to be what they want to become. Like transformation, it means change. So when we look at righteousness, do we speak against those things that are not righteous? Or are we conform, or have we been so domesticated and tamed to this world that we just keep our mouth closed because we don't want to get persecuted? So if we keep our mouth closed and go along and get along, are we really doing what the Most High wants us to do? Because the word conformity means similarities, corresponds in form or matter. Correspond in form or matter. To fashion, to shape, educate, modify. Actions in accordance with some standards. Meaning that the standards of Ephesians 6 and 12 means that for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. So, have we been conformed to agree with the spiritual wickedness in this world to be able to live and function the way we want to function? Have we been so conformed, or domesticated, or tamed that we have subjected ourselves to everything that is going on in the world today, so we have a go along, get along attitude? And that is the thought process that I have, because sometimes people don't want to step out the box, because when you step out the box, it makes them uncomfortable. And when it makes them uncomfortable, people don't like to be uncomfortable. They just like to stay in that box and think that by staying in that box, they're comfortable and they're secure, but in actuality, they're very insecure in that box. So when we step outside the box, it stretches us to be more confident in what we're becoming, more so than being in that box and being insecure in that box. Okay? So now, if you could turn to 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 1 through 13, but I'm only going to deal with 5 through 7. Because a lot of us have been conformed to a certain standard to stay within that box and don't want to come outside that box. Because if we come outside that box, oh, we in trouble. Because if you study the old covenant or the new covenant, the Messiah challenged the authority. He always challenged the authority because he understood that the authority was wrong. He always challenged the authority. He always challenged the authority because he understood that the authority was wrong. And he didn't conform to the world, because it says in 1 John 2:15, he says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. That's what he said. He said you can't love, and also in John 4:4 it says, ye adulterer and adulteress, know ye not that the fellowship of the world is enmity, a war with Ale? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of Ale. So that means that either you're going to love the way the world, he said, either you're going to do what the world wants you to do, or you're going to do what the Most High wants you to do. He said, but if you do what the world wants you to do, you're an enemy of his. But then, that's what he said, you're an enemy of the Father. So if you're doing everything that the world wants you to do, you have been domesticated, you have been tamed, you have been controlled through spiritual wickedness. You're doing the things that the world wants you to do, because the world is full of spiritual wickedness, because they are condoning, they're condoning transgender. And I'm not just saying transgender, but I'm just talking about one issue. They're condoning it because they're saying that just say hypothetically, in women's sports today, transgender men can be able to participate in women's sports, even though they don't even have the same makeup as a woman. They still have they haven't changed their X chromosome or their Y chromosome. They haven't changed any of that. But they still have the makeup and the strength of a man, but participating in women's sports as if they are a woman. But in a natural state, they're not. They still are made up as a man, but they just changed the organs of their physical makeup to be a woman, even though they still have the features of a man. But nobody, I don't hear a lot of people protesting against that, because the simple fact is it's not right. It's not right, but we are condoning it as if it is right and not speaking on it. So if we keep our mouth closed and going along to get along, are we up under the control and been domesticated and tamed by spiritual wickedness? So when you go to 2 Peter chapter 1, I'm only going to deal with 5, 6, 7, and 8 and 9, because it talks about the character of people. It's talking about the character of righteousness. Okay, and I'm just gonna only read verse 5, and I'm gonna deal with the rest of it. And it says, and besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge. I'm gonna go ahead and finish reading. And to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that you should neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ, or Yahshua the Hamashiach. Okay, so if I may give a title to the text today, the title of the text today is, what is righteousness? What is righteousness? Because being domesticated is tame, control, is that righteousness? Or being like Christ, is that righteousness? Because we got to understand that, like it says in Ephesians 6 and 12, let me read it again. Ephesians 6 and 12, let me read it again. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. So what is righteousness? Okay. I gave you one word, is conformity. Conformity means similarities, correspondence in form or manner. Correspondence in form or manner. To fashion, to shape. Listen to that. Domesticate means to shape, to tame, to educate, to modify. Actions according with some standards. Actions in according to some standard. What standards are you domesticated to? What standards are you tamed to? Okay, the word righteousness is a 15th century word. Righteousness. The being and doing right. So it's domesticated or tamed doing what's right in the eyes of the Most High, or righteousness is doing what's right by keeping your mouth closed? Is doing what's right keeping your mouth closed when you see something is wrong? So, conformity in character and conduct to a right standard. Conformity in character and conduct to a right standard. What standards are you living by? Are you living by the Messiah's standards, or are you living by the world's standards? Because in 1 John 2 and 15 it says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So what standard are you living by? Okay? It says again, righteousness is the being and doing right. Conformity in character and conduct to a right standard. Righteousness, justice, fairness. That's what righteous is. Righteous is justice and fairness, okay? How you can understand that? Let us go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 22. Jeremiah 22 and 22, 2 and 3. And it says, Jeremiah 22, verse 2 and 3. And it reads, as it said, and it reads, say, hear the words of Yahuwah, O King of Yehuda, that sitteth upon the throne of David, thou and thy servants and thy people that enter in by these gates. Thus saith Yahuwah, execute ye judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoils out of the hands of the oppressed. And do no wrong, do no violence to the strangers, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed any blood in this place. That is what righteousness is in the Father's eyes. It says, thus said Yahuwah, execute ye judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoils, or the poor, out of the hands of the oppressed. Deliver means to remove the poor from the hands of the oppressor, just like they did the people in Egypt. It says, and do no wrong, do no violence to stranger, the fatherless nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. For if ye do this thing indeed, then shall there enter in the gate of the house of the kings, sitting upon the throne, riding in chariots on horses, and he and his servants and his people. Okay, it says, but if you will not hear these words, I swear by myself, saith Yahuwah, that this house shall become a desolation. So what the Father is saying is to do no wrong. What is to do no wrong? Shed no innocent blood. Don't oppress nobody. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his cattle, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. That is righteousness. So when we're looking at righteousness, okay, let me go back. That was righteousness in Jeremiah 22, 2 and 3. Righteousness is in Exodus chapter 20, verse 15 through 17, or 14 through 17. Okay, but what is justice? Justice. It's a difference between righteousness and justice. Okay? Justice, the exercise of authority and vindication of right by assigning reward or punishment. Justice is giving a person what they deserve, regardless of anything else. It's a difference between righteousness. Righteousness is the actions of a person. Justice is giving somebody what they're supposed to deserve. Okay? And then it says the virtue, this is coming out of the 1828 dictionary here. It says the virtue which consists in giving to everyone what is his due. That's justice. The virtue which consists in giving to everyone what is his due. Practical conformity to the law and to principle to a rectitude or righteousness in dealing of men with each other. How you deal with each other. It's like people want to treat you one way, but they want you to treat them totally different. But if you treat them the same way they treated you, they act like if you was acting crazy. But in actuality, you're only giving them justice. You're only giving them what they deserve, because that's how they're treating you. But see, the New Testament teaches on mercy and grace, but mercy been throughout the whole book. But they're teaching you about mercy and grace, mercy and grace, mercy. Mercy been given to Adam and Eve. So it ain't like mercy was just came on the scene. Mercy have been here throughout the whole covenant, because when Adam and Eve sinned against the Father, but they should have been killed immediately then, because they went against the commandments of the Most High. So mercy has been here. Mercy is nothing new to the scene. So also it says justice is honesty, integrity in commerce. In commerce mean business or mutual intercourse, interaction with people. Impartiality, equality, invictive, retributions are right. What is justice? Let's go to Leviticus 24. Leviticus 24, 17. This is what justice is in the Father's eyes, because the covenant hasn't been broken. Justice in the Father's eyes is this right here in Leviticus 24, 17 through 19. And it says, he that killeth any man shall surely be put to death. And he that killed a beast shall make it good beast for beast. If a man cause a blemish in his neighbors, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Breach for breach, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has caused a blemish in a man, so shall it be done to him again. Also in Revelations 13 and 10. This is just reiterating Leviticus chapter 24, what we just read. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. So, when we're looking at that, and we're looking at what we're getting ready to dive into, 2 Peter 1, 5 through 7. Are we actually living a righteous life? Or have we been domesticated? Have we been domesticated? Because domesticated means to tame, control, as if a wild animal. Or are we living a righteous life? I'm trying to find something real fast. Have we been domesticated? And that's something I think we need to understand. Okay. Have we been domesticated? Do you remember when? Do you remember when Jacob's sister got raped in Genesis chapter 34? And let me read something. This is verse 34. Dinah, and Dinah the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughter of the land. And when Shechem the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, and he took her, and laid with her, and defiled her, his soul cleaved unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. But what he did was he raped the woman. He raped her when he shouldn't even did that. He raped her at this point. This is a point of rape. Okay? He raped Jacob's daughter. Okay, and Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the fields, and when they heard it, the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in line with Jacob's daughter, which things ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, the souls of thy son Shechem longeth for your daughter, and I pray you give him to wife, and to make ye marriage with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you, and dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, because she knew that she had been violated. And now she's saying, and Shechem said unto her father and to her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Now the man's son just violated Jacob's daughter. Now he asking for grace. Now he asking for Jacob to allow the man's son to marry the daughter, even though they did not follow protocol. He raped the man. He did everything he shouldn't have done. Now the man asking Jacob to give me grace. Give me grace, even though my son just violated your daughter. Give me grace for that. Okay, give me grace. He says, ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. Now listen to this is justice, and this is righteousness. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and said, Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, because he has defiled Dinah their sister. They said unto them, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to the one that is uncircumcised. For that were a reproach unto us. That was a sin unto us. But in this will we consent unto you. If you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised, then we will give our daughter unto you, and we will take your daughters unto us, and we will dwell with you, and we become one people. Let me go down a little bit. Okay, let's go down to verse 34 and 21. It said, these men were peaceful with us, therefore let us dwell in the land and trade. But I can't find more. I have to go all the way down. But let's go to verse 26. This is justice. Because what we think is justice is not justice. What we think is righteousness is not righteousness. Righteousness is not being quiet. Righteousness is speaking up for what's right. Point blank, simple as that. Righteousness is not just sitting on the sideline keeping your mouth closed. Okay, and it says in Genesis 34:26, they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, their ox, their asses, and that which was in the cities, and that which was in the fields, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives took their captive, and they spoiled even all that was in the house. That is justice. That's righteousness. But let us go back to 2 Peter. Because when you're talking about character, 2 Peter, I'm a pretty good time. 2 Peter, what we think is righteousness and what we think is justice, it goes against. And it goes against, our thinking goes against the Most High. Because we think being domesticated is righteousness, and it's not actually righteousness. You're contributing to your demise, because what you're doing is going along, getting along with the system. And I'm not saying you should do things against the system that is violent, but you don't have to go along with the system. You don't have to go along with anybody just because they are in an authoritarian position. That means that you can speak on it and say things about it, but that don't mean you have to be violent to it, or you don't even have to agree with it. That means that you have to be able to understand or decipher what is righteousness in the Most High's eyes and what is righteousness in the world's eyes, because you got to understand we wrestle against spiritual wickedness. And if we understand that this world is spiritual wickedness, and we understand that everything that they're doing right now is about spiritual wickedness, we cannot be domesticated or tamed or controlled at this time and think that the Most High is going to be satisfied with what we do. Because if we do, we are rejecting His word. We're denying His word. If we deny His word in front of our friends, I believe, I had to paraphrase it because I forgot the verse. If we deny Him, He's going to deny us in front of His Father. So when we deny Him by going by the way the world says righteousness, we're denying the Father. So when we get in front of Him, He's going to deny us because we denied Him and we didn't stand up for what was right. So when we're talking let's go back to 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 5. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 5, it says, besides this, giving all diligence add to your faith virtue. Virtue is the word excellence. Virtue means excellence. Excellence. Because Peter's talking to the children of Israel. And how you know he's talking to the children of Israel? That's in 1 Peter chapter 1. It says, Peter, the apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout the land. I'm not going to go through the name. It says the strangers. The strangers are scattered. Means the Israelites. He's talking to the Israelites. That's in 1 Peter 1 and 1. And then when you go down to verse 20 in chapter 2, go to chapter 2, he's talking to them about their conditions. He said, what glory is it if when you be buffered, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 20, he's talking about their conditions now. He's talking to the children of Israel, and then he said, I'm talking to you, the scattered. Now then he says, now when you are in, now he says in chapter 1, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 20, he said, it says, for what glory is it if when ye be buffered, means punished, for your faults, ye shall take it patiently. But if when you be well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently. This is acceptable with Ale. Okay. The word patiently means have fortitude. Persevere means to endure. Means to tarry behind. Means to bear. Means to persevere. Don't mean to give up or give in. Means that you got to endure what you're going through, but how you endure through it, that's the most important thing. So Peter is talking to the children of Israel. He said, when you're going through your suffering and your punishment, endure it. Take it on head on. Don't lay down lightly with it. You challenge it. You stand up to it. Don't be domesticated. Don't be tamed. Don't be controlled in your process. Because that means that if you're contained and you're controlled, that means that you're being conformed. And the word conform means similarity, correspondence in form or matter, to fashion, to shape, to educate, to modify, actions according with some standards. Peter is not telling you to conform. He's telling you to endure. Okay, he's telling you to endure whatever it is that you're getting ready to go through. You persevere through it. You push forward through it. Don't take it lying down. Don't take it lying down, because when you take it lying down, you've been domesticated like an animal. You just like Dr. King said, I think I led my people into a burning house. Unconsciously, we was led astray. He said, my sheep are like a shepherd. My sheep are like, my people are like sheep without a shepherd. I forgot to paraphrase that too, but he said, my people are like lost sheep, led without a shepherd, or something to that, to some extent. But they didn't know no better. When you being domesticated or tamed or controlled, you don't know no better. You don't know righteousness. So when Peter's talking in second Peter, he's talking to us, telling us how to be. He says we understand virtue means excellence. And then he says to virtual knowledge. Virtual knowledge. What is virtual knowledge? It means that we got to understand. We got to comprehend everything that is going on to be righteous. We got to decipher what's good and what's bad. We got to be able to separate the things that's going on in the world in order to be able to deal with it. Virtual means excellent. Then it says, and to virtual knowledge. What's knowledge and how we how we get knowledge? Okay, let's go. I'm going to deal with 3 points real fast. 1 Kings chapter 4. 1 Kings chapter 4. 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 29 through 34. first, we got to understand who is our source on how we get knowledge. Okay, and it says, and El gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much in largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men. He was wiser than all men. Ethans, Ezahite, Haman's, Korkal, and Dorday, and the sons of Mahal, and his fame was in all nations round about. Excuse me if I chopped up those names. And he spoke these 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. And he spake of trees from the cedar trees that is in Lebanon, and even unto the hypsa, and that sprang out of the walls. He spake also of the beasts, and of the fowls, and of the creeping things, and of the fishes. And there came of all the people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all kings of the earth which had heard of his wisdom. And Solomon said, and when Solomon first was anointed to be king, he didn't ask for anything but wisdom. And first, to be able to understand what is righteousness, you got to have wisdom. And that wisdom comes from the Most High. That wisdom don't come from man. A righteousness don't come from man. Wisdom comes from the Most High. Because what made Solomon so wise is because he asked from it from the Most High. Solomon asked for wisdom from the Most High. Because that's all he wanted. Because he wanted to make sure that he was doing the right thing. He wanted to make sure that he did the right thing. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Solomon asked for wisdom. Because this is what Peter's talking about. We got to have virtual knowledge. Virtual knowledge is of the Most High. Virtual knowledge is understanding the word, to be able to decipher the word from the world. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 14. Because we're not able to execute righteousness if we don't have the proper judgment, or we don't have the proper wisdom. And the wisdom of the world is an enemy to the Most High. 1 Corinthians 14, I'm reading 19 and 20. It says, yet in the church I had rather speak 5 words with my understanding, that by my voice I might teach others also, than 10,000 words in an unknown tongue. Brethren, be not children in understanding. Listen to this. Brethren, be not children in understandings. Howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men. He said, don't be children in understanding. Be men in understanding. Be of it. When I was a child, I acted like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. When you become a spiritual man, or you're following the Most High, and you're following the Spirit, you're going to put away the worldly things and do the things of the Spirit. Okay? So when you get in understanding, be men. Everything that you do has to come from the perspective of the Most High. That is righteousness. Not the way of the world, but the way of the Most High. Philippians. Because a lot of us, and I hear people say sometimes, well, that's on them. Whatever decision they decide to make, that's their decision. I don't care. Just leave them alone. Let's just let them do it the way they want to do it, which is not right. Cause me and my daughter had conversations like that before, where just leave them alone, let them do it the way they want to do it, how they want to do it. But in actuality, if you allow somebody in your family to do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it, the way they want to do it, when they want to do it, indirectly and directly, it's going to affect you. If that person go to jail, it's going to affect you because you may not see that person no more. You may have to help that person get out of jail. It's going to affect you long term. Let alone some other things happen. If the person gets sick, you're going to have to go visit them in the hospital. You're going to have to do all these things for them or help them go get some medicine or whatever the case may be. Even if the tragic part is if they pass away, you're going to miss them. So when we're trying to understand righteousness, the righteousness is to let people alone and don't say nothing to them and just let them do what they want to do, how they want to do it, the way they want to do it, or to speak on it. Because some of us don't even know 5 of our neighbors in our community. But we call it a community. In actuality, you're just living in a neighborhood, a subdivision. In Philippians 1:9 it says, I pray that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge in all judgment. Let me read that over. It says, in this I pray. Let me go to verse 8 first. It says, for L is my record. For L is my record, how greatly I long after you in all. It says, for L is my record, how greatly I long you all in the bowels of Jesus Christ, of Yahshua HaMashiach. I pray, and this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgments, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ, or the Messiah. See, he's telling you to be knowledgeable so that you can make the right decisions. Righteousness is having the understanding and the knowledge to be able to decipher what's good and bad. The more knowledge you obtain, the better you are in decision makings. The more knowledge you attain, the more you're able to make better decisions, because you're able to decipher what's good and what's bad. Okay? Let's go back to 2 Peter. Verse 6. Verse 5 is talking about knowledge. Excellent knowledge. Solomon had it. All the disciples had it. Knowledge. And to knowledge temperance. And to temperance patience. And to patience godliness. Okay? Temperance means self-control. Temperance means self-control. Means that you got to control yourself. Okay? Let's go to, I'm going to go to 1 Maccabees on this one. First Maccabees chapter 2, 38 through 44. Because when the children in First Maccabees, this is when the Grecians, First Maccabees chapter 2, 38 through 44. This is when the children of Israel understood that they was practicing the Sabbath. And the Grecians knew that they were practicing on the Sabbath. But the Grecians came in and attacked and killed them during that time frame. The Hebrews was practicing the Sabbath, and the Grecians knew that they was practicing the holy days and things of that nature, and they knew that they would not fight them on that time, and during that time, because they was trying to obey the law, statutes, and commandments. So in First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 38 through 40, and it reads, and so they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them. So the Grecians rose up against them in battle. So the Grecians rose up against the Hebrews in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew the Hebrews, and the Grecians slew the Hebrews with their wives and children and their cattle, and to the number of 1,000 people. Now when Mattiyahu and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sores. So when Mattiyahu or Matthews, when Matthews and his friends understood what happened, they mourned for them right sores. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brothers have done, and fought not for our lives, and tore against the heathens, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. At the time thereof they decree, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath, we will fight against him. Neither will we die all as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Kishandim, the sons of Israel, which fear Yahuwah in their hearts, who were mighty men, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the Torah. Also they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger and wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathens for succumb. So what happened in the book, in that part, the Grecians they attacked the children of Israel on that Sabbath day. And then Matthew said, from this point forward, if somebody tried to attack us on our Sabbath, we're going to fight and protect ourselves. We're going to make sure that we're not going to die like our brothers did. We're going to have so much self-control that we're not going to go out here and attack somebody else, but we're not going to allow somebody to attack us. We're going to be more of a protection for ourselves, more so than anything else. We're not going to allow anybody to come in and invade us and do whatever they want to do to us. Okay? Also, let's go to John 2. Self-control. Even though you may want to go out there and do something to somebody, you got to have enough self-control that if you got to be on a more of a protection side than a violent side. John 4:2 and 15. Okay? we got to, John 2 and 15, okay. Now let us go to Exodus chapter 22. Exodus chapter 22 and 2, it says, if a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. Meaning that your self-control got to be that you not got to be the one that go out and do the violent acts. You don't have to go out there and be the ones that perpetrating the crime. But you have the right to protect yourself from anything and anyone that comes in and try to violate you and your human rights. If a man get caught breaking into your house or doing anything violent to you, the righteous thing for in the Most High eyes is that for you to protect yourself from anybody who's coming into your house violently trying to protect and kill you. It's not saying that you got to go out there and be. That's why it says thou shalt not kill. It's a difference between murder and kill, or self-defense and kill. It's a difference. And we got to understand the difference. Because if we don't understand the difference, we can go out there and do some harm to somebody where we can be in trouble for. See, the Most High always want us to stand up for ourselves. He's not telling us to go out there and do harm to anybody. But it's okay for you to stand up for yourself. Okay. Okay, let us go to Luke. Because I really think we have a misunderstanding of righteousness. Luke 22 and 36. The Messiah never want us to be docile. I'm going to go to verse 35. And he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes laced, let me read it over. It says, and he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, yet ye anything? And they said, nothing. Then said he unto them, and then the Messiah said unto the disciples, but now he that has a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrips, and he that has no sword, let him sell his garments and buy one. Because the reason why he said that is because he knew that they was getting ready to go on a journey that is going to be very dangerous. He knew that they was going on a journey that was going to be very dangerous. And he knew that they was going to need some form of protection on that way, on their journey. He knew that. So he was telling them, he was telling his disciples, you're going to need some type of protection along this way, along this road. You're going to need some form of protection because people are going to come up and try you. People are going to come up and try to do things to you. And you're going to need something to get these people off of you. He said,
Because that's why he was talking about shaking the dust off your feet. If people welcome you, yes, you go in. But if those don't, keep it moving. The thought process of Christ was just going to people, begging people to do this and follow this. And no, Christ wasn't that way. No, Christ wasn't a passive Messiah where, come on, I love you, or a docile, domesticated person. No, Christ was not that person. He didn't play. He didn't play with the people. He was straight up and down. This is the way it's going to be. No ifs, ands, and buts about. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. I'm not finna be passive with you. I'm not finna babyfy you. I'm not finna do any of those things with you. Christ wasn't that way. But the way they portray Christ as if he was a docile, okay person. No, that ain't the way Christ was. He told them to go get a knife because he knew that the journey they was going to be on. The Maccabees knew that they was they was in enemy hands and they had to fight to stay alive. They knew they had to fight to stay alive. They couldn't just lay down and let people kill them. And he said, if I let them kill us, we won't be no more. And Maccabees it says, and at that time therefore they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him, neither will we die all, as our brothers that were numbered in the secret place. So, if the Maccabees the Maccabees was doing it, everybody in the Old Testament, that's all you can see, that they were fighting to defend whatever they believed in. So when you're looking at it, you can't say the way we think, the way the world teaches us what is righteousness. That we can't say that's the way Christ says it. I told you that in Leviticus 24. He said, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, beast for beast. Also, let's go back to 2 Peter. I ain't got nothing but a few more minutes. 2 Peter. Let's go to verse 7. And to godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. Charity. Charity is love. Means that you got to show your brother some brotherly love. Means some correction. You got to correct your brother. You got to correct your brother. Because sometimes your brother could be doing things that's not right. And if you keep your mouth closed on it, are you actually being righteous? Let's go to Isaiah 28. This is within the camps too. We know camps sometimes wrong. And the thing about it is, right, we had a friend, my wife and I, we had a friend. They dogged us out, right? They dogged us out, talked about us. But then, after they talk about us, Most High sent them right back to us. And we have to still turn, even though they turned around and talked about it, we had to turn around and help them after they done talked about us. But we have to correct them in a way that they know how to be corrected. And they don't even understand that we're correcting them. Do we blast them all the time? Yes and no. Should we? Yes and no. Sometimes you got to blast your brothers. Sometimes you got to pull them to the side. But you got to correct them sometimes. A lot of the time, because if you don't, they're leading people astray. How you do it is most important. Do I agree with some of the way these brothers do it on this internet? No, I don't. Because they're not just embarrassing themselves, they're embarrassing everybody that's attached to them. Isaiah 28, 7 and 8. It says, but they also have error through wine and through strong drink are out of the way. The priests and the prophets have error through strong drink. Through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the beast. Sometimes we got to check them. It says in verse 6, it says, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, for the strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. Sometimes we got to check these brothers. We got to check these brothers and sisters. Because we know they jacked up. We know they jacked up. He said, but they have error through wine and strong drink are out of the way. The priests and the prophets have error through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They are error in vision, and they stumble in judgment. Let's go to Matthew's. Matthew's 15. Matthew 15. I know we got to get ready to go. Matthew 15, 7. Just listen to the verse. The first two words. And he talking to the Pharisees and the scribes. He said, ye hypocrites. Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draw nigh unto me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but their hearts is far from me. But in vain they do not worship me, teaching for doctrine the commandments of men. The Messiah called the Pharisees and the scribes hypocrites. Sometimes you got to blast them. That's righteous judgment. That's righteous actions. We got to call them out. How you call them out is the most important part, though. Matthew's 24. Matthew's 23, 24, and 25. It says, ye blind guides which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye make the clean the outside of the cup and the platter and of the platter, but within there are full of exaltation and excuse. He said, you clean on the outside, but you filthy on the inside. And see, the Messiah didn't have no problem busting people out. He didn't, because he understood that they wasn't right. They was teaching what was wrong. And see, sometimes we got to understand what is righteousness. That's the title of the text. What is righteousness? Is righteousness letting people continue to kill you and you don't defend yourself? Is righteousness knowing that people are doing something wrong and not saying anything about it? Is righteousness being dumb of the word and not knowing the truth? Is righteousness being dumb and not knowing the truth? 2 Timothy says, study to show thyself approved unto El, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. To shun profane and vain babbling, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Is righteousness continue to just listen to what the pastors say and not equip yourself with the word? Is righteousness not protecting yourself when you know you need to? Is righteousness not correcting people when they need to be corrected? No, that's not. And I'm not telling you to impose yourself or to push yourself on somebody else, but what I'm saying is don't accept that sometimes. Sometimes you got to stand up for what is right. A transgender woman is not a woman. She's changed into a woman. Superman is not a man until he turns into himself into. Superman is a person until he becomes. He put the cape and stuff on. We got to stop going along to get along. And I'm not telling you to do anything that goes against the Most High. And I'm not telling you to force yourself on somebody. But your salvation is when you stand up for what's right. People saying that what Russia's doing is totally wrong. But don't even know all the information. Don't even know all the facts. Don't know anything, but they're just going along with what the media say. Your salvation comes when you understand the whole picture. That's equipping yourself with the knowledge to make the right decision. Salvation comes when you understand that it's okay to pull your brother's coattail and to let them know what they're doing is wrong. Because you're not allowing your brothers to be led astray. Salvation comes when you're able to physically and spiritually protect yourself. That's what it comes about when putting on the whole armor of Christ. You're able to protect yourself physically and spiritually. That's why he used that analogy of a Roman soldier, because they was quote unquote considered to be the best at that time. So you have to be able to protect yourself physically and spiritually. In Maccabees, it was physical. This day and time, we've been attacked spiritually. And you got to be able to, in order for you to have salvation, you got to be able to protect yourself. You got to be equipped with knowledge. And you got to be able to call people out on it. Because the Most High, He's going to judge you for what you did and what you did not do. I'm about finished. I'm finna pray in just a second. This is what the wicked do. It says, this is in Proverbs 1 and 11. It says, "My son, if sinners entice you, do not yield to them. If they say, 'Come along, let us lie wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like a shallow, and to hold those descending in pits.'" The innocent don't understand what the wicked is doing, but the wicked is trying to get accomplishes to help them do the sin. We cannot sit here on the sidelines and watch things happen and not say nothing about it. It says, "For they say, 'Come with us. Let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privately for the innocent without